Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's episode number 80 of the Audible Farm Podcast. This week's episode is brought to you by Couchtown Coffee. Couchtown Coffee is roasted right here in Iowa, and it's made specifically for your order. So as you make an order, they roast your batch right then. That's how it works. It's not like they're roasting a whole big old bunch of coffee beans and then just hoping they sell them eventually. No, it's made to order. It's awesome. It's super good. It's easily the best coffee I've ever had. So check it out. You can find it at www.couchtowncoffee.com, or you can find it on Facebook. There's a Facebook page for Couchtown Coffee as well. If you want to make an order, go to couchtowncoffee.com, find a coffee you like, and make an order. When you make an order, you can save yourself 20% by entering the code word MAD. The code word this week is MAD. It'll save you 20%. So when you make an order, let them know Audible Farm sent you and tell them the code word's MAD, and you can knock 20% off your order. Just because, you know what? Couchtown Coffee's awesome, and they like live music, and I like live music. And I bet you're listening to this because you like live music. So check it out. If you want to find some of the best coffee you've ever had, go to couchtowncoffee.com. It's roasted, made to order, and it's from right here in Iowa. So check it out. The code word this week is MAD. Why is the code word this week MAD? Because I'm sitting down with Igor Alexandrovich, also known as Mad Miller. When I first befriended him on Facebook, he was Mad Miller. But Igor Alexandrovich is the name that he's going by. That is his given name, and you got to check him out sometime. I've seen him jam at jam nights. And he's just a really interesting guy. You know, he's from Russia originally, but he lives in Iowa now, and he plays. You know, I've befriended him on Facebook, and I can watch some of his videos on there. And he's been talking about probably launching like a YouTube channel or something else just to try to get some of his videos out there, because it's pretty cool just listening to him jam. He can do a lot of crazy things a lot of people around the area can't do on a guitar, and you know, it's just really surprising to me that he's not in a band. So I'll tell you what, if you're looking for somebody that can play some crazy stuff and shred, check it out. Igor is pretty darn good at the guitar. So this episode's awesome. I sit down, we talk about cultural differences between America and Russia, where Igor is from. We also talk about, he does a little bit of stuff with billiards tournaments and things like that. So we talk a little bit about that too, and his journey to get to Iowa and past bands, and he even sent me some videos, so I'll be sharing some videos in the Audible Farm Facebook group page. The Facebook group, I'll be sharing some. So yeah, check it out later in the week. I'll be sharing some of those videos. It's crazy cool. The stories he tells in here are amazing. I was super happy to be able to sit down next to Igor and talk about some of this stuff. And I'm looking forward to sitting down and talking with him again sometime soon. He's a cool guy. I hope you guys enjoy this episode, because I had a blast sitting down talking with him. Episode number 80, Igor Alexandrovich.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
All right, so I'm sitting down today with Igor Alexandrovich, as you're known on Facebook.
Mad Miller.
Mad Miller, as everybody probably knows him. That's how when I first befriended you on Facebook, you were Mad Miller. We were talking a little bit about this, how Facebook said no. So you went to Igor Alexandrovich.
Right.
And Alexandrovich.
Well, it's my father's name.
Your father's name.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's
Okay.
like second name.
Okay. All right. So
Middle name. I mean.
people usually just call you. Pull that baby up to your face.
Yeah.
There you go. People usually just call you Igor, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say I've seen you at jam nights. I've seen you, around at Patty's Pub. I used to see you there at the jam nights all the time.
Right.
You'd go up there and just shred the heck out of a guitar.
No, I'm trying.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm really impressed by your technical skill. I mean, there's not too many people that can do a lot of the things on a guitar that you do in the area, and that's nothing against people that are playing guitar around here. You just
Right.
you're a very technical player.
Well, I got a lot of experience. I started playing with classical.
Oh, okay.
Originally.
Did you play like on an acoustic classical?
Yeah, acoustical, finger picking and all that.
Oh, okay. Did you have like a lesson instructor kind of person, or?
When I started, yeah.
Okay.
And then I played for a while, and then I went to a jazz college.
Oh, cool.
Went to jazz college for 2 years.
Nice.
I didn't graduate, but decided to become a rock star, so started my band, and was pretty big in Siberia, where I'm from, in Russia.
That's awesome. So let's start there. That sounds like a good place to start. You start taking some lessons, classical. You go to the jazz school. You decide to start a band. What was the band's name?
Well, actually, it's kind of funny. My first band before that, I was playing. We were called Europe,
Okay. Yep.
and
Not
we played it.
not the final countdown here.
We were about together maybe 5 years. We played with Europe,
Okay.
and then when 1986, I think it was,
Mhm.
Europe came out.
Yeah, that band with the final countdown.
Final countdown
Yep.
came out,
Yep.
and
Yeah, that's the end of that.
they had to change the name,
Yep.
and then we broke up,
Okay.
and I made my band.
What was your band's name?
It's, if I translate to English, it's a Miller's Hut.
Miller's
Hut.
Hut. What was it in
Yeah.
Russian?
Хижина Мельника in Russian.
Cool. That's so cool.
So
So obviously you know Russian well. You're from
Yeah.
Russia, and you speak English. If you speak any other languages, I just.
no Russian, English, a little bit of Spanish.
Oh, cool,
I mean,
cool.
I can communicate, but that's it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What so I gotta ask you, like, what brought you to Iowa from Russia?
Well, I got lost.
As I think everyone did that ended
It's,
up in Iowa.
Well, I lived in Florida for 15 years,
Okay.
and I work with the national pool tournaments.
Okay.
So my boss is the company from Iowa.
All right.
And about 5 years ago, I used to work for a different company, and I was setting up pool tables and stuff, unloading for pool
Oh,
tournaments.
wow. Yeah.
And I got one hernia, then I had another hernia, and I didn't have insurance.
Oh no.
So my buddy here, my boss in Iowa, he hooked me up with insurance here, so I was
Oh,
able
cool.
to do surgeries, and I moved here
Moved here.
and kind of got stuck for now.
Yeah. So what do you do at these pool tournaments then? You just do the setup stuff for the most part?
Not
or-
no more.
Not no more.
I mean, after the hernias, I don't lift nothing heavier than the pool stick.
Nice.
we selling stuff
Okay.
like pool equipment, balls, cues,
Oh, nice.
cases, all that stuff.
Yeah. So
Chalk.
you go to like the tournaments as like a sponsor for the tournaments, or?
Well, we got a booth.
Okay. Yep.
We set it up, and we got a couple of games. We got 2 pool tables with us where we, like, one game is it's got the laser radar,
Okay.
like a speed trap, and
Oh,
it tells you how fast you brake.
Oh, cool.
So people break and can win different prizes, and
Dude, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
stuff like that. So,
Have you always played pool, or what was the?
no, I started playing pool about 12 years ago when I turned 40.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I-
I'm 52 now, but
Yeah, you're pretty good at pool though too.
little by little.
Little by little. I think that's the funniest thing is for the little bit I've known you, even just coming here and talking to you before the podcast, you're a pretty humble guy. I mean, I'm like, dude, you can sweep pick, you can shred on the guitar, and you're like, well, yeah, it took a lot of work,
Yeah, the pool. I learned it backwards. I learned to. I was watching a lot of trick shots.
Oh, okay.
I started doing trick shots. Jumping, masse, all the curve
Yeah,
balls.
the big curveball, the mass.
Well, I don't know if you know Venom.
Oh no.
He's like, if you go on YouTube, Venom trick shots.
Mhm.
He's like considered one of the best, if not the best, pool trick shot guy.
Mhm.
He's a friend of mine. He's from
Okay.
France originally. He lives in Vegas.
Oh, nice.
I go to his house sometimes in Vegas.
Mhm.
He's got like hundreds of millions of views. I think he's got like over 900,000 subscribers
Oh,
on his
jeez.
channel. So,
Well, I've got like 140 on my channel. No,
Yeah.
that's a lot, dude.
yeah.
That's crazy. How'd you get hooked up with him? How'd you run into him?
Well, originally, first when I started playing, actually through Facebook, we were just started messaging, whatever, and then finally, when I started working, first time I went to Vegas, I met him,
Oh, cool.
and
That's awesome. So, when did you when you came over to America? Did you start any bands over here originally, or have you been in any bands in America?
I've been in a lot of bands. Well, first I came to the States in '92, and I lived in Jersey,
Okay.
in Jersey City. That's where I learned English, in
Oh, really?
in Jersey City bars.
So you came over here without even knowing English.
I could barely communicate.
Holy cow!
So
Was that? I gotta ask you. Was that scary?
now, yeah, if I had to do it again, I would probably come more prepared. I came to the States with my guitar, my backpack, and $300, and
Oh.
I didn't know anybody. Came straight to New York City.
God, that's so cool.
That was rough.
We were
And,
talking.
as far as the bands, yeah, you were talking. In Jersey, I jammed here and there a couple times with nothing serious, not in Jersey.
Hmm.
But then I moved to Florida. In Florida, I played in a lot of bands. I lived in Minnesota for a few years. I played in a band called Fuel for My Hatred over there.
All right.
Then in Florida, I played a whole bunch of cover bands.
Yeah.
I played. There was a guy, Dana Jennings in Florida. He was like big brother to me, and he was a great guitar player. He passed away, but we used to do duo with him too, just two acoustic guitars.
Oh, cool.
And we used to do like crazy stuff. Like we would take, for example, like Killer Queen
Mm-hmm.
and do jazz version of it on two guitars.
Oh.
We'll do like Scorpion Steel Avenue jazz version
Dude, that's cool.
on two acoustics. We used to do that stuff. We used to play around the beaches
Uh-huh.
in Florida.
Do you have any videos of that at all?
No,
Oh, that's so
I had some
unfortunate.
tapes somewhere and they got lost. I mean, I moved so many times.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
From different bands, I played like the biggest band like that was called Cemetery when I played in Florida.
Cemetery?
Cemetery.
All right.
There was a festival where the Cemetery opened up for on the same stage. It was in Pinellas Park about 20 years ago. I don't remember. Time flies. And it was Meshuggah, Motorhead, Devil Driver.
Oh, dang.
So
Yeah. Yeah, that's some big heavy metal bands
well,
there, man.
we used to practice right next door to Morbid Angel.
Oh, cool.
And what I was gonna say, there's a my singer, he was a part owner of the club
All right.
in Florida, so we were kind of like a house band. So anybody who come in, we would open up for them. So OTEP would come in, Drowning Pool,
Oh,
bands
sweet.
like that. So we were kind of like a house band.
Yeah, it's awesome, man.
Yeah,
So one of your other band members kind of worked at the club or owned the club?
The singer, he was a part owner.
Part owner. So he probably was in charge of helping book the headliners that
Right,
came through
right.
too.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you guys kind of got your pick of the litter as
Yeah.
far as who you wanted to open up for and things like
Right.
that. Dude, that's got to be pretty stellar. I mean, not that playing around here locally isn't any fun, but opening up for some bigger bands is usually pretty
Oh,
sweet
yeah.
because you get that built-in audience that comes.
Right.
That's a fun thing to stand in front of a lot of people and play.
Right.
Yeah. Before the podcast, we were talking a little bit about when you were in Russia. You were in a band that was pretty big.
Right.
So let's start talking about a little bit of that. What do you got?
We I don't know if you. There's a video on what kind of crazy shows we used to put out. I mean, I can send you a link.
Yeah, definitely.
It's I was big time into Alice Cooper.
Yep.
Back then, and we used to do a show when we hired these bodybuilders, and we got this casket
Mm-hmm.
with our logo on it,
Uh-huh.
and we caught this stray cats.
Stray Cats.
Yeah, it was about, I don't know, 7 or 8 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Put them inside the casket, and our singer was there with them.
Oh no! He's
Got
in the
this-
casket with
yeah,
the cats.
Got these big chains,
Mm-hmm.
and those they had these hood things like Punishers do,
Yep.
like in medieval times.
Yeah.
That's how the bodybuilders were dressed,
Oh wow.
and they carried this casket with our singer inside,
Mm-hmm.
and we start playing our song, and they set it down, and then they open it. The cats freaked out because crowd 5,000 people, sold
Yeah.
out arena. All the cats jumped out. Our singer was laying there with his hands crossed,
Yep.
and the bodybuilders, they were supposed to set him up
Yep.
to the microphone. They forgot, so he was laying there, and finally the time comes up to sing, so he got up by himself,
Yep.
started singing, and then there was this girl. She's supposed to be the goddess of justice.
Okay.
She had this scale in one hand, and I forgot what's in the other hand.
Oh yes,
Whatever
I know what you're saying. Yeah. Yep.
So, she was standing there with her eyes.
Like a blindfold over her eyes.
Blindfold over her eyes, yeah. And there was a cop standing there too.
Mhm.
So, and cop was like closing his eyes, with his hand.
Yep.
Like he can't see it.
Yep. Didn't see
And
anything.
then at the end of the song, they got this girl and the bodybuilders.
Mhm.
They got this girl and they put her face down in the casket and nailed her in and
Oh, wow.
carried her out. And the cop, he lit up a candle
Mhm.
and was walking after them. Took his hat off, and he was.
So there's a lot of theatrics that were involved.
Yeah, we used to do crazy stuff.
Dude, that's awesome. I feel like that's an art that's somewhat lost. There's not too many bands that go out there and do a lot of theatrical things.
And it was crazy because in Russia, I mean, it's like like over here, people take a lot of stuff for granted. I mean, like when I was growing up, when it was communist and stuff, it was over here. If you listen to some music, you go to a store, buy it.
Hmm.
Back in Russia, it wasn't like that. Like my friend got arrested for possession of Black Sabbath album.
Oh, whoa.
It was crazy stuff.
That's
I mean,
insane, man.
there was a list of they called it a blacklist list of bands that were banned.
Wow.
And let's say, tell you why they were banned. Like let's say Kiss,
Hmm.
because of the SS on the back,
Okay.
and they were telling us that they sing about Nazis and all that and
Okay.
fascism.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because when I learned English and I listened to Kiss, and I'm like,
Not
all this thing about pussy.
Yeah, it's literally all it is about like finding a
Yeah.
woman and hanging out.
Right.
You know? Like there's literally nothing about
And,
any sort of.
Pink Floyd was on the list because they did what was that name of the album? Final Cut.
Okay.
And he sang one line that says, Reagan took Afghanistan, Brezhnev took Beirut.
Oh.
Because of that line, the whole band was...
The whole thing, all of those songs, all
Right.
the whole every album.
Yeah.
You can't listen. Okay.
It was crazy back in Russia. Like, let's say, like guitar strings. Like, over here you go buy strings. In Russia, we had this... They had this Russian strings. They were... I mean, they were really bad. It was thick and whatever. You couldn't get the real deal. And the rest of them was all right, but the first one, the high string,
Mm-hmm.
you couldn't get them. I mean, so my friend went to military, and he was like in some radio or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
around radio. So he brought some cable. So we would unwind the cable and use the cables for the strings instead.
Oh wow,
So
that's wild. So you'd use that for like your E string.
Yeah.
The thinnest,
Right.
the thin one.
uh-huh.
Oh, that's crazy.
And like the distortion boxes or effects, we didn't have none of that. So
Mm-hmm.
my friend was soldering and making me.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
I had he was our sound engineer in the band,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy was like he could fix anything, you know.
Uh huh.
And he was good with soldering gun, and so he didn't know nothing about music though. So I came up to him and I brought him. I forgot what it was. I think it was Iron Maiden. I put him put one song, and I go, "Can you make guitar sounds like this?" He's
Mhm.
like, let me try. He had this oscillograph, you know.
Yeah, like the oscilloscope.
Yeah,
I think
we
that's
call
what it is. Yeah,
in Russian, it's oscillograph. Yeah,
It shows like
Yeah,
the wave
right.
of the electricity.
yeah. So
Yep.
he was using that, and
That's wild,
yeah,
dude.
yeah. And I came in next week, and he said, "Try this," and it sounded. You had a whole bunch of noise, but it already was like a distortion box.
That's crazy.
And then
cool.
he kept working on it, put it inside some kind of tin can, and he made it real good.
Whoa! So
Yeah.
was it actually inside of like a real tin can?
Yeah, he got some tin can, and he made it.
That is so crazy.
If you see the video, if you hear the guitar, I mean, that's what you won't be able to tell that it's homemade.
Oh, that's wild. And
Yeah.
I'm assuming you don't have this pedal anymore.
No.
No, that's so
No.
unfortunate.
Yeah, it was like 30 years ago.
Dude, some of this stuff that's so crazy. I guess I never really thought about that when I had we agreed to sit down and do the podcast. I never really thought too much about like the differences between being there and being here, you know.
Oh yeah, back in it was crazy. It's like one of the when we first started playing. I mean, one of our first concerts. It was we started playing, and then the crowd started going nuts, you know. And normally, like because we didn't have it was a place like a small club
Mhm.
where they let us play, and you had to go like make sure go to the party officials, Communist Party,
Uh-huh.
so they let you play.
Oh,
They would
okay.
take the lyrics, and they had to approve the lyrics what you sing.
Oh, no way.
You know that?
So you'd have to pretty much be like, I want to play here. These are the songs I'm going to sing.
Right,
These are
and
the
they-
words.
they-
and they
normally
say,
there was somebody in the crowd from KGB that's listening, making sure.
oh my God.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's,
Yeah.
that is fucking wild.
And
dude.
we did one gig, and one time they at the end, like in the middle of the show, the first couple bands were all right, but then a couple bands started to play heavy metal. You know, we jumped on stage, and somebody called and whatever, and they pulled the plug. And they arrested like most of the people they were playing, and it was crazy.
Oh my gosh. That's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that like you will never ever ever see here. I
Right.
mean, you might see some band get a plug pulled on them, but it won't be because like we don't, like the government says no to this. It's not
Right.
going to be because of that, That's
Right.
it might just be like a club owner didn't like this or whatever.
Uh-huh.
You went way too long or something.
Uh-huh.
It's not because like you sang a song you
Talking
weren't
about
supposed to
too
sing.
long, actually, it's kind of funny. One time we got lucky with my band. It was 1990. We went to a festival. We did like a small tour in Siberia, and I don't know if you know about Russia, whatever. Like we went to Novosibirsk.
Okay.
I'm from Irkutsk. It's I don't know if there's a lake called Baikal.
Nope, don't know it. Sorry.
It's the deepest lake in the world,
Oh, really?
and that's my city is from.
I'm pulling
That's
up
where I'm from.
I'm pulling up a map
Yeah.
right now. So we're gonna try and look this up on a
It's
map.
a Lake Baikal. It's called. It's the deepest lake in the world, roughly a mile
So
deep.
we're just gonna zoom
It's
out.
like if you look on, yeah, right there, that's the lake, and that's Irkutsk.
Oh, there it is. Holy
Yeah.
cap. Yeah, wow. You're like right up.
Yeah.
You're right near Mongolia, even.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we played in Novosibirsk, which is like in the middle of Siberia. It's like a big city, probably the biggest city in Siberia. There was a festival in 1990,
It's all the way over there. I see it.
and it was a whole bunch of people, whole bunch of bands. Like it was, I think, like 3-day event. It was maybe 20, 30 people playing there, 30 bands, and everybody had time. I forgot what it was, like 30 minutes or 40 minutes, whatever, to play because so many bands. And we started playing. We all started to get big at that point, and we started playing, and we finished everything, and crowd wanted more, so we did one or two extra songs. And after that, I mean, we coming back, we putting our shit away, our guitars and amps and everything. And this guy comes up to me, and he goes, "Are you in a Miller's hut?" I go, "Yep." He said, "You guys are done." I go, "What are you talking about?" "You played for extra like 15 minutes, and supposedly there was a band called AIDS, some kind of punk band in Novosibirsk,
Oh, gosh.
and they were like big over there. They had big following,
Oh.
and say, we're gonna kill you."
Oh.
So I told my bandmates, and they were, "Don't worry about it. It's just bullshit." And then one of the guys that organizers from the Novosibirsk, he overheard. He said, "AIDS did it?" He said, "Hey, you guys are in trouble." So
Holy cow.
so we had to go through the back door, and they pulled up the bus, and we basically started going to the bus, and the crowd was waiting for us, like with baseball bats,
Oh my gosh.
and somebody saw us, so we had to run to the bus, and we barely made it because they started throwing rocks and everything.
Gosh, that's so crazy. That's another thing you'll never see here. I don't think you'll ever see like a riot. Like we're gonna literally try to kill people in a band because they played 15 minutes too long. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
it was crazy. Yeah, it was one of the stories.
I'm looking at the map here. How far of a drive would that have been from your hometown to go to? It was
Well,
Novosibirsk?
Back then we didn't drive, so it was very few people had cars.
Huh.
So I think I forgot we flew there or took a train. I don't remember. Well, very few people had cars, but when I grew up, now it's like here everybody's got them. I mean, not everybody, but when I grew up in Russia, it's only rich people could afford cars
Oh, that's wild.
because it was very, let's say, right before before everything, the wall came down. You saw ads in the newspaper that somebody would trade a car for an apartment.
Oh, whoa.
That's how expensive they were back in the day.
That's how desired a car was. I mean,
Yeah.
you could literally trade a car for a place
Right.
to live.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's so
Yeah.
crazy. What are some other stuff like that? Like I'm sure there's a lot of things you've seen that when you came here, you're like, oh, this is nothing like where I came from. Because where I came from, I mean, I'm just like I'm thinking about the guitar string thing. That just blows my mind. That like you couldn't find a nice set
Oh
of
yeah, here
strings.
you come to a store and you see all these guitars and like wow, and they're all real. I mean, you come in, you see Gibson, Fender, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you can buy it in Russia. Back then, well now you can, but back then, I mean,
I mean,
it was next to impossible to get.
so how did you end up finding a guitar? Like, is that something?
Normally, you would get. We had a lot of cheap shit, like cheap guitars from like socialist countries, from Czech Republic, from
Okay.
from the eastern side of Germany.
Mhm.
We had some. They had some Fender copies,
Okay, yeah, they
and or make your own guitars.
Make your own guitar?
Make your own guitars, or I had it was a Czechoslovakian guitar called Musima. If you see the video, I mean, I'll send you a link.
all right.
That guitar, my friend just modified the guy that made me distortion box. He made his own pickups. He wound it and everything.
Oh, geez.
So
did he hand wind them?
yeah,
Oh my gosh! Because now they got machines that'll do
Yeah.
that for you. We're like, I want it wound 6,000 times, and you push a button
Right.
and it just does it.
oh, he did everything himself. The guy was like a genius.
That's wild.
You know,
That's so wild.
So he did everything. Yeah, he modified it to my liking.
That's so crazy.
So-
That's so cool though too. I mean, like, through all these constraints, you have some sort of like innovation. People are being creative and making their own things.
Right.
That's something over here nobody does because we don't have to because somebody's already made the best guitar that you can
Right.
buy, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And so you don't
I
have to.
love this Fender. I mean, it's like the Strat I got, and I traded it for a pool cue actually.
Oh no way!
Yeah,
So you traded a pool cue for a guitar.
yeah.
Dude.
I had this cue I wanted to sell, and I went to the guy at the pawn shop that works over there, and and he told me I talked to him earlier, and he said that he was looking to buy a cue because he wanted to start playing, and I had this cue that I got very cheap, and I was gonna sell it. I go, you want to buy this one? And he said, oh, how about a trade? And he's like, I'm like, for what? I go, I got this Strat, American 60th anniversary edition, like all.
It's got a humbucker single.
Humbuckers, it's all like upgraded and stuff. It was
That's
a nice
cool.
locking tuners.
Dude, that's
know?
sweet.
And I'm like, I never played it. Well, I played the Strat before, never liked it. So I'm like, Strat, but then, I don't need this cue anyway. All
Yeah.
right, let me get the guitar. So it's been sitting here because I was playing my other guitar, Reverend.
Yeah, I remember seeing you play
Yeah.
that Reverend.
Yeah, and I loved it, Reverend. And then one time, I broke a string on the Reverend.
Uh-huh.
And when I went to change it, I found out that the one of the tuning pegs was broke. So
Oh,
I
no.
couldn't change the string. So I'm like, I wanted to play. I'm like, let me try the Fender. And I started playing it, and first I didn't like it, but then I took it to John Bowman, and he set it up for me. And I started playing. It took me a couple days to get used to it, and then I fell in love with it. Now that's all I want. The only thing I want to get right now is a scallop neck.
Oh yeah, so you can get the between the frets,
Yeah.
scoop it out a little bit.
Right.
Is that something that was on one of your other guitars, or
No, never played it, but I want to get it.
you want to try one out?
Yeah, well, I know I want to play it because
Yeah.
I never played it, but I know that I'm gonna like it.
Yeah, I mean Malmsteen, Yngwie
Yeah,
Malmsteen.
Malmsteen, Blackmore.
Yeah, he was
Those are the guys.
Yep. Yeah, Malmsteen was easily one of the most famous
Here
scalp.
in town, what's his name? This guy works there, Greg, at the Riemanns Music.
Oh yeah, yep. Greg Merritt.
He started. He had this one cheap Squire or whatever, and he started to scallop a neck. So far, by looks of it, coming out all right. I mean, he didn't finish it yet, but I want to see.
Yeah, you're curious to
Yeah.
see what it's like. Dude, that's crazy. I think that's probably the coolest part about being able to sit down and talk with you is to realize there's all these differences. I mean, obviously you grew up halfway across the world,
Right.
In a completely different place with a completely different culture and environment. But you would tend to think that some of this stuff would translate. It would just, you can just go buy a guitar in Russia, and it's like, well, maybe not. It depends on where you're at.
Back then, no. I mean, now you can. Now it's everything. A lot of the stuff is Americanized, just like here.
Okay.
I mean, as far as guitars go, I mean, it's hard to get like real good ones, like real Fenders, whatever. But you can get them. I mean, there's a lot of Chinese stuff over there because China is so close.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
right there. Oh gosh.
they got a lot of Chinese guitars, but some of them are good. I mean,
Do you ever end up with like any? I mean, today I don't know if you would know today, but are there any like fake Fenders or like fake Gibsons over there?
They got a lot of fake ones. Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of them come from China. Usually,
Yeah.
like the Chinese Gibson guitars. They call over here they call them Chibsons usually.
Right.
So like if you get a Gibson and you're like, this thing doesn't sound very
Yeah.
good. It's not really. And then you're like, oh, it's a Chibson. It's a fake. And sometimes they end up over here. I would assume a lot more of them would end up in Russia
I'm
since
not
it's
sure,
so
but
close.
They got some real deals. I mean, and a lot of if you're a serious musician, you can get the real guitar. It's just expensive, more expensive than here. But like that, like everything is more expensive because like cars, for example, over here you can buy whatever. Like let's say I'm driving a 2009 Impala. You can buy for $2,000 over here.
Yeah. Yep.
In Russia, same car would be probably $5,000.
Okay.
Everything's more expensive.
Yeah. I mean, That makes a little bit of sense. I'm sure they like have their own Russian cars. I'm sure. There's
Oh yeah,
Russian,
but right now very few people buy them. Russian cars are junk.
One thing I do see that comes across sometimes is you will see like used pedals that are Russian pedals. Like
Well, pedals and the amps and the tubes.
oh yeah, the
The
tubes.
tubes supposed to be like one of the best
Yep.
for
Yeah.
the amps, because they make the best tubes and optics.
Yep.
Like the night vision goggles from Russia is supposed to be real
Oh
good.
really? I didn't know that.
So-
Yeah, I remember when I started looking up, I was going to retube an amp, and I was looking for tubes, and it said, "Man, you got to get these." Like Sovtech was a big one, but,
Softtech, yeah.
but like almost.
One of the guys from AC/DC played one.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I mean, but there's just almost every one of them I saw was made in Russia or
Right.
somewhere that used to be part of like the USSR. Like the giant group of countries in what do you call like with the Eastern, like it would be like Western
Yeah, Eastern
Russia,
Bloc or
Eastern
whatever, yeah.
Bloc. But yeah, that's so crazy. I mean, do you think that some of those pedals that are made over there? Because I think I want to say I've seen like the Pi big or like a Big Muff. Or like there's some of those.
I don't know. I don't know much about equipment. I mean, like guitars, how to fix them. I just play them.
Yeah.
That's normally what I do.
That's crazy, dude.
Talking about Russian bands, if you want to check out some cool Russian bands, like here in the States, there's one band from in California. Originally they used to be called the Red Elvises.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard of them or not. They very popular. They, on average, back in the day, they used to do like sometimes like 30 gigs a month.
Oh, jeez.
And they
every
everywhere
day.
they sold out.
Holy
Everywhere
cow.
they go, they play rockabilly.
Okay.
No,
Rock.
the
Oh, yep. Rockabilly music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Red Elvises they called. And I met them in Florida when I lived there. Jammed with them a little bit, and then there's two guys. They were like in the band, two guitar players.
Yeah.
And they both talented. They couldn't work together.
Oh,
so they
yeah.
split up. And now that other guy got his own band. And the lead singer, his name was Igor also. Now they
Cool.
called Igor and the Red Elvises.
Oh, cool.
And they put out crazy shows now. I mean, they got these black chicks singing backups and like.
Oh, so they got the full band.
The full band, kind of like Brian Setzer.
Oh, yeah.
That type of deal.
Yep.
And they dress up and yeah.
Dude, that's
So-
crazy cool.
And another band that right now they touring. Well, not now because of this Corona bullshit.
Yeah.
But they were last year, and they sold out everywhere. The band is called Leonid. If I say in Russian, Leonid and Friends. If you look them up, I mean, they do mostly like Chicago covers.
Oh, like the band Chicago?
Yeah.
Like 25 or 6 to 4 type stuff.
Yeah.
Horns and everything?
Yeah.
Dude, that's super
And
cool.
they so great because most of the guys are like real professional. Like, for example, one of the singers, he was my group mate in jazz college when
Okay.
we started out like 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And then in Russia, he had his metal band called Monomach, and he was very popular in Russia, like one of the biggest Russian metal bands. And then he's teaching vocals right now in one of the like biggest conservatories.
Okay.
In teaching all kinds of vocals, like classical, metal style,
Oh.
rock style.
All right.
Yeah.
So you can sing it all then.
Yeah. So, and all the guys are that caliber in the band.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
wild.
and if you see them, I think they do Chicago better than Chicago did it. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I can give you some links so
Dude,
you can look them up.
That's probably gonna be the coolest part that comes of this is I have to get into some of the music that you usually listen to. I'm sure you can still find it on YouTube and everywhere else.
Oh,
you know, like there's probably so much music that people over here have never heard of, probably would never hear unless you shared it with them. You know.
Well, it's like different because I don't know, for some reason, like when I grew up, some bands are a lot more popular in Europe and Russia than over here. Like, for example, like over here, like Led Zeppelin is very big. Well, it was very big there too, but Deep Purple not as much.
Deep Purple.
Yeah,
All right.
Smoke on the Water.
Yep. So
Yeah.
Deep Purple wasn't as popular over there as it
No,
was
no,
over here.
over there it was way more
Way
popular.
more popular
Way
here.
more popular than Led Zeppelin.
Oh,
way
whoa.
more. Yeah.
That's crazy.
In Russia, Richie Blackmore is like every guitar player that learned if you know at least 1-2 licks, 2 solos from Blackmore.
That's cool.
If you want to be up to this day, Blackmore is like very big.
Still considered
Yeah.
one of the best over there.
Well, like some other bands like Nazareth.
Uh huh.
Like
Super
in
big
Russia,
over there?
very big. Over here, it's like some people don't even know who they are.
That's so weird. That makes me wonder how did like the government figure out which bands to censor? Because you think like, I mean, Deep Purple wasn't too bad, but they were, sometimes they'd sing some kind of
Or
racy
like
stuff.
Aerosmith, like in Russia, unless you're real like rock fan, whatever. I mean, a lot of people didn't even know who they are in Russia.
That's crazy because they're huge here.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Aerosmith.
Yeah.
I mean, Steven Tyler, Joe Perry, everybody
Right.
knows who all those guys. So that's so weird. I mean, there's got to be a lot of differences like that compared to Russia and America, even just as far as music. So like when you would listen to music over there, it was obviously, I'm assuming, obviously, it was in English. Like, Deep Purple wouldn't come over there
Yeah.
and sing in Russian.
Oh yeah, in English. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you learn English from like songs and music and things like that?
English listening to the Beatles.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because
that'd be a
when
pretty
I was
good place to
like
start.
teenager, I was a big time Beatles fan. My nickname was John Lennon because I used to wear glasses and I used to have
Oh,
round bicycle
yep,
glasses.
the round glasses, just
Yeah.
like John
I had
Lennon.
long hair and
That's awesome.
yeah, but my nickname was Lennon.
Igor Lennon.
No, just Lennon. That's
Just
what
Lennon.
They called me.
That's so cool.
Because I'm not a great singer, but when I sing, I can mimic Lennon,
Oh, okay.
And the sound. When we used to play in Florida with the guy I told you about, we do a couple Beatles songs, and people like it when I sing.
No, that's awesome.
So-
Do you do you ever see yourself singing in a band here, or is singing not
Well,
something
maybe
you want to do?
backups. I'm not the great of a singer.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
I try sometimes, but it's like, meh, we'll let the other
I
guys
did
take
back
care
in
of this.
the day. We did like some kind of punkish stuff when I used to play. Yeah, we used to do Sex Pistols.
Oh yeah.
What's that song? Anarchy.
Yep.
Anarchy in the UK. I used to sing it, but I used to do growl. I was big time in the growl, but I went through death metal stage.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, death metal is pretty notorious for
About
being
25 years ago. Yeah, I used to. That's all I listened to.
Oh yeah.
Well, you could tell. Death. I got a tattoo.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that in one of your videos you were playing online. I was like, dude, you got a death tattoo? And you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, I do. That's cool.
That's how I met Chuck, actually.
You met Chuck.
Yeah, I was at the Kendama concert in Florida, and I was checking out the merchandise before the show, and this guy comes up, taps me on the shoulder, and I go, "What's up?" I looked around, and this dude standing there. He goes, "Can I take a picture of your tat?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?" So, well, Chuck collects pictures because he designed the logo, and I look around. There was Richard Christie who tapped me.
Oh no
the
way,
drummer, and it was Chuck standing right next to him.
dude, that's
And
crazy.
so I got to hang out with him,
That's super cool.
yeah, before he passed away. So.
Yeah, because I mean, Chuck ended up it was a
He had a brain tumor,
cancer. Yeah. That was tragic because it was pretty much just up and gone. He was,
Yeah.
And then they tried to do.
Yeah, I wanted to record some stuff with him. We talked about it, but then he got sick again. Because when I met him, he was right into remission, whatever they.
Yep.
And then things went worse.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was a crappy deal. I mean, they even tried to throw like benefit concerts for him, and
Right.
I heard stories. And it's the internet, but I heard stories that like some of the money ended up coming up missing, and things like that. So the story of Chuck Schuldiner and death is always kind of a bittersweet one. The guy was super crazy good at guitar. He almost made a whole new style. I mean, his stuff
They called him like a grandfather of, the father of death metal, basically.
Yeah, because they named it after the band Death. And
Yeah. He was 16 years old, 15 years old when the first album he recorded.
no way.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. I
And
knew he
doing
was
that
young.
style,
but-
yeah. I think 15 or 16.
God, that's insane.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being that good at 15 or 16?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. I mean, for people that don't know Death, it is kind of heavier music, and some of the people that listen to the podcast might be like, I don't want to listen to it or whatever,
Right.
but it's worth checking out. It's weird time signatures. You can't always bob your head directly through the songs,
Oh, yeah.
So there's goofy stuff going on,
And
but it's
he wanted
super
to-
technical.
Yeah, he was singing too.
Yeah.
And then when actually I talked to him, he told me that he kind of didn't like that because it was hard to sing and play.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why after Death, he had this last project, Control Denied.
Oh.
He hired a singer that was actually singing without growl, just a real singer.
I'm gonna admit this.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even know you had another band
It's
after
called
Death.
Control Denied.
I'm looking that up on my way home
Oh, yeah.
tonight, dude.
Oh, they're badass.
Dude, that's
Well,
crazy cool.
it's basically Death It's
Yeah.
his project, just with a real singer.
Yeah, now he doesn't have to concentrate on singing. He
Right.
can just do all the playing.
Yeah,
Dude, and that's crazy. Like, I think about this. Do you play drums at all?
a little bit.
I do too, but I'm bad at it. So,
Me too. Well, I played one time with Clint's band at the Patty's.
okay.
When
yeah.
the drummer during jam night,
Yep.
the drummer went to smoke, couldn't find nobody, so I jumped behind drums and I played one song with Clint.
Dude, that's super cool. I've played drums with Clint too, but it's usually in Barnum at the jam nights, and it's if there's not a drummer
I mean,
there,
I suck at it. I mean, I can play just basic bits, you know.
yeah, that's
but,
all I do
yeah.
too. But I'm still. I mean, you ask me to throw a fill in there. Sometimes
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
okay, back to the one. Okay,
I won't,
one,
I
two,
won't
three,
be
four.
able to do double bass. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
Just a regular basic 4/4 measure. I mean, I can handle it.
Yeah, AC/DC beats.
Yeah,
That's what I like to
right.
do. Yeah, but then you think about like Chuck's. The drummer in Death was just insane to be able to play stuff
yeah.
that fit what Chuck was doing.
Yeah,
you know?
Gene Hoglan, I think that was the name. That was the best. My favorite album is Symbolic,
Yes.
and the drummer is just crazy, especially how big he is. I mean, the guy was like 300 pounds almost.
Oh,
And
really?
you look at him, how easily he does it. It's like, wow.
That's crazy.
I mean, he was a huge guy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I remember a friend of mine, it would have been like my senior year in high
Mm-hmm.
school, started really getting into Death, and he was like, check out this band, it's really neat, you know, and stuff. And at first I was still into like punk music and stuff, and I was like, oh, this is really heavy, this is almost scary. But after a while you're like, dude, this is insane music.
Right. And actually, it's funny that the one of the guys, I think that was Richard Christie, he was, for a while, he went to Howard Stern show.
Oh yeah?
He was doing something there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I heard that he was trying to, oh no, maybe it's not him. I forget. I hung out with so many musicians. One of the guys was trying out for to be in was a Blue
Man
band.
group?
Yeah, Blue Man Group.
Oh, those are the dudes that wear the
Yeah, yeah,
blue
yeah.
paint and play the drums and stuff?
Yeah, he was trying out for them, and I don't know how they work out.
Oh.
I think it was him because he posted on Facebook, or maybe somebody. I don't know.
Dude, that's super crazy.
Yeah.
Like that's the other thing that's mind blowing about this is like as much as you traveled, you've met a ton of people. It sounds
Right.
like, you know. I mean, just the fact that you said you met Chuck kind of blew my mind. You know, I mean, he's
I
been
met Dio,
Dio. Oh my gosh, that's so crazy.
Ingrid.
Oh no way! So you've met Malmsteen as well.
Yeah, well, that was easy. I mean, because Chuck I met like on accident, whatever, because of the tattoo. It's kind of funny.
Yep.
Dio, there was a concert in Florida, 2000 or I forget when. It was a Malmsteen was opening up for Dio.
Mhm.
So after the show, they would let Dio was just hanging out, so he would let people sign autographs.
Mhm.
Coolest guy ever. I mean,
Yeah.
Short. I mean, he was like
Yeah,
Dio's
he's
shoulder.
really short, dude.
Yeah, real nice. And then Malmsteen, he would at his tour bus, he would let people in for like 5 minutes to hang out, whatever.
Mhm.
And I brought this article. I didn't have nothing to sign. I had a tape for Dio to sign.
Mhm.
I didn't have nothing for Malmsteen to sign, so I bought this article from the local newspaper about the concert,
Mhm.
and I wanted him to sign it.
Yep.
So I brought it up, got on the bus, started talking to him that I grew up listening to him, blah blah blah,
Mhm.
and then I give him this paper, and he looks at the article and he started reading it,
Mhm.
and he's like, and I see, because they had a big ass picture of Malmsteen and small picture of Dio in it,
Uh huh.
and you know how he's very, you know, like,
Yeah, that's kind of how. Yeah.
Yes,
Malmsteen's like a Rolex and Ferrari
yeah,
kind of guy.
Yeah, he's kind of like an asshole, you know,
A
very,
little,
very,
yeah.
very arrogant.
Yes.
And
Yes.
he sees this, and he's like, and I'm trying to talk to him, and I see he like, completely ignores me. He just, and he like reads at this, looks at the article, you know, and so, and then he goes, hey, I look at him and I go, you know what? You want this article? You can have it.
Mhm.
You know, and he's like, oh, what do you want? You want a pick? You know, guitar pick?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, nah. I mean, I'm not a 5-year-old. Come on, I don't need your pick. I mean, just let's take a picture with you.
Yep. Yeah.
And I took a couple pictures with him. You know,
I'm not a 5-year-old. I don't
Yeah.
need a pick. That is awesome.
it was funny because he like, because the picture was big, like probably half a page, a picture of Malmsteen and a small picture of Dio.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if Malmsteen planned it that way.
Yeah.
He called up the newspaper company. Was like, "Hey, my picture's got to be 4 times the size of Dio's." No, even though like Malmsteen,
Yeah.
for a while, he was gaining some weight. He might have been 4 times the size of Dio. You never know.
Right.
But dude, that's super crazy to think that. Like, I mean, I've met some famous musicians too. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've done the meet and greets at shows, and I've run into people after shows. Actually, I do have a Dio story. When I was like in 10th grade, a bunch of my friends were going to a Dio concert, and like I said, I was into like punk music, and like
Right.
I was just like, I don't really know if I want to go to a Dio show. They all met Dio after the show because, like you said, he would just like walk around and talk to people after the show. You know, like, yeah, I'll sign this thing for you. I'll shake your hand. We'll take a picture together quick and stuff. And I think to myself, now, man, I could have friggin' met Dio, and I was just dumb and little and didn't know who Dio was and what was going on, and it's a huge bummer for me. But it's crazy to hear that you've met some of these guys, and like I mean, like, are these guys like your quote unquote heroes, or like who would be your?
Yeah, Dio was back in the day. Yeah, Dio.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Marston, of course, when he first came out, I mean, it was like.
Yeah, he was in Alcatraz was his first
Alcatraz,
band, but his solo albums.
But his solo, first the Rising Force when it came out, I mean, it blew everybody away.
Yeah.
Everybody. Well, my biggest one probably would be right now Gary Moore.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Gary Moore. When I first heard the Dirty Fingers.
Yep.
That I finally I learned how to play it.
No way.
That's the song that actually inspired me to practice. Because I was playing like Beatles stuff when I first started, besides classical guitar, and I went to my buddy's house. I forgot the name of the album, whatever the Dirty Fingers is on, and my friend goes, check it out, and he put it on for me, and I was blown away. I'm like, wow! And we had a guy in my town that he learned it. By ear, he picked it up, and he played it maybe, I don't know, half time, I mean, slower, whatever. But just because he could play it, he got a nickname, Gary Moore. Up to his day, they call him Gary Moore.
That is super crazy. Yeah. I was actually just talking with someone about how, like, the first albums I learned how to play by ear were easy. It's a lot easier. It's punk music and stuff like that. So you kind of like, you're playing these chords, which means you're in this key, and you're probably not going to change the key, so it's just these notes. These are the easiest notes, and these are the ones you're probably gonna end up playing. But like, to be able to play stuff like you said, Gary Moore, that would be absolutely insane. I'm actually scrolling through Gary Moore. Dirty Fingers was the album there with I believe.
It's a 1 minute song. It's just instrumental piece.
Yeah, man, that's
just a 1 minute.
That's super crazy. I mean, a bunch of my friends listen to a lot of like these virtuoso guitar players, which really got me into it. And I feel like there's a big modern push for people to get, quote unquote, really good at the guitar again.
And it's crazy right now. There's so many new guys that play. It's like, wow. It's like just
you can't even keep up.
Some of them, it's like there's a guy from Germany, Fountainhead. He goes Tom Fountainhead. He's Jason Richardson.
Okay,
he's another one.
Yep.
Jason Richardson. He's like, he does the. Wherever I can sweep pick, he can do alternate pick every note at the same speed and faster.
Oh my God!
It's just some of them. Wow, you listen to them guys. I mean,
that was something actually. Like before the podcast, we were talking about how you can sweep pick, and I was talking. I was like, man, I can't do that. And you said it actually took a lot of work. It wasn't something that you just like overnight figured out how to do.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah, it's a lot harder than it seems. And I went through just about every video out there, every lesson, and it's crazy because most of the people that teach them, there's a lot of videos, they can't even sweep themselves. They just learn basic and they think they can.
Yep.
And it took me literally because I wanted to learn, and I figured how hard can it be? I've played guitar already for 30 years, so for somebody that got that much experience, I mean, no, it took me literally like 5 weeks of 8 hours every day, nothing but sweep picking. I was working
that's
out.
So crazy.
And I did it wrong first. I mean, I almost messed up my finger one time. I thought it was some sweeps. I thought I had to bar, and I had my finger wrong. And to the point, I mean, I couldn't play for like 2 months. I had to have a break.
Oh, because
something, my tendon, whatever. I did it wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I totally see I get what you're saying, because like if I end up playing guitar too much because of how I squeeze the bar chord, it actually kind of hurts like one of the joints in my pointer finger on my left hand.
You see this right here?
Oh yeah.
It's, if you work on that's your best friend right here.
Oh, there you go. Oh, the new skin. Yeah, definitely.
It's a liquid skin.
Dude, that's something for people that are listening. Igor just showed me his fingers. Very well used. He's been playing the guitar a lot. It's no wonder if you watch Igor playing online why he's so good. You can just tell by the calluses on his fingers. It's that you put a lot of time into playing, man. You're not just some hobbyist that picks it up for 20 minutes a day and calls it good enough, you know.
No. Plus, especially the thing is when you want to learn, like a lot of people think that they can get good at like watching TV and play.
Yeah.
You can't do it. I mean, your mind has to be there.
Yeah, it has to be on one thing and one thing only.
There's a lot of guys that watch TV shows and doodle on guitar, playing scales or whatnot, and then they wonder why 3 years later they still play at the same level.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because your mind have to be there. And the way I look at it, I mean, if you think it's hard, it's going to be hard for you.
Yeah, well,
you can achieve anything you know, your mind.
That's very true.
And at the higher level of playing, no matter what you do, like no matter if you play pool or whatnot, play guitar, whatever, probably 80 to 90% is mental.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that because like if you're just sitting at home beating yourself up over it, like I'm never going to get good at this, you probably won't get good at it because you're telling yourself you're not going to get good at it. You know, that makes total sense.
Like when I started sweep picking. On top of that, I never played fast before. I mean, I played just regular. I never like did shreddy stuff. And I wanted to learn. In order to get speed, it's not like you gotta play with like most people do that metronome approach when they you play like at 100 BPMs and play boom boom. Then when you do it, put it up a little bit more.
110.
I mean, it works to a point. If you want to get to the high levels, you gotta like really push it. Like in sports.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what you do, it's like you gotta like really push it. Like when you sprint, you know, you're not gonna get good if you run like, you know, at the same speed for the long time. I mean, you're still gonna be running at the same speed.
Yeah.
If you wanna gain speed, you gotta do like this.
Yeah, you gotta. That makes sense. I mean, you can't just jog and expect to get good at running fast.
Right.
You know, you gotta run fast in order to get good at running fast. You know.
You gotta like really, and a lot of also what I found that rest help too, because you gotta like really push yourself and then you just give it a break sometimes like for a day or whatever and then you pick it up and you're like, wow, now I can do this.
Oh, that's cool.
And I couldn't.
You were talking earlier about taking a break from playing guitar for a while.
Yeah, well, my last band, Full Flight in Florida, I played with them, and my best friend Mike, and he was playing guitar in the band. And one time I went to Vegas and I got back. He was supposed to pick me up from airport, and he come pick me up, and his girlfriend is driving, and I'm like, hey, what's up, Mike? Why you been drinking or why aren't you driving? He said, I don't feel good, and I'm like, he never been sick, you know. The guy was a semi driver, you know, and he said, I feel sick, I gotta go to the doctor. So they found cancer, and like literally within 6 months he died.
Oh no!
And he was my best friend, and I took it hard. After that, I didn't touch guitar for like almost 5 years.
Wow.
So
what prompted you to start playing again then after that?
When here in Iowa, I was bored one time. Went to a bar, play pool, Patty's, and they had a night, and somebody knew about me, and they said, "Hey, you want to play?" And I'm like, "I don't have a guitar." Take a guitar, and I got there and I started playing, and then Josh was there. Josh is a Mason.
Mason, yep.
Yeah, from the radio.
Yep. And
he heard me, hey, and so he invited me, and he played my music on the radio. I played some guitar over there.
That's cool.
On the 92 Rock.
Yep, yeah, man. That regional rock hour show they got there.
Rock hour,
I love that he does that here in Fort Dodge. It's one of the coolest things going here is letting the locals get a shot at it, you know.
And that's how I started playing. Like it was once a week or once a month. They had
once a month, yeah. Like a third Thursday or something.
That's how I started playing there, and then I got me a guitar, and because I didn't even have a guitar.
Yeah, I remember that you picked up that Reverend that you had. That was like and I was like, why'd you end up getting a Reverend? You're like, well, this is just one of the guitars they had at the shop when I went to go buy one, and I liked it the best. And dude, I mean, it's crazy because you were just shredding the hell out of the thing, and I didn't know that you hadn't played for so long. You know, I mean, granted, when I first saw you probably had been playing a little bit here.
Just
Fort Dodge.
A little bit, but I was very rusty.
Yeah, that's so crazy to think that. Like that's your rusty would be me very good, you know. That's so wild. And I mean that was also one of the cool things to see was like you don't have a band around the area,
no.
So to go to those jam nights and be able to watch you play was fun because you don't. I mean, I can't go watch your band play because you don't have one at the moment.
Yeah.
But
I go once in a while. Go jam with what's the name of the band? Robbie Brennan.
yes, I know the name.
Gear Down.
Geared. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I go to his house sometimes and we just jam.
Mm-hmm.
He just sits around the table, with his buddies, and
Yeah.
we just jam around sometimes over there.
Mm-hmm. God, it's so cool.
Well, right now I'm thinking to record an album because I got a whole bunch of songs written, and I'm kind of like getting my technique up,
Yeah.
to record them and putting them together, and then I don't know when. Right now, it's hard to tell with this Corona thing.
Yeah, it's
you
so weird. I mean, let me ask you this: have you ever seen anything like this even in Russia?
No.
Like, no, they didn't just lock everything down, even in communist. Like, that's what everyone's got to kind of think about is how wild this is, because it's like everything's locked down. You can't go to pretty much anywhere. I mean, as the time we're recording this is we're recording this almost a week before the episode comes out, but there hasn't been too much being said. I know they just adjusted some of like the tax deadlines and some other stuff recently, but it's pretty wild out there. I mean, like Fairway, I went to Fairway here in town not too long ago in Fort Dodge, and that place was packed full of people just getting anything they could, And
Well, now they like a couple days ago, I went shopping because I was supposed to go to work the next 5 weeks, so I like scheduled everything. So my fridge ran out. So I was completely out of everything.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're on the road for 5 weeks working, you can't
so
really.
I didn't want to buy nothing, so I kind of scheduled it that way.
Oh no!
And so I went shopping and crazy. Like a lot of stuff is gone. Well, most of the stuff, I mean, I guess I don't buy it because I mean everything I needed I found. The only thing I couldn't find, well, obviously toilet paper is gone.
Yeah.
And the eggs.
Eggs. Yeah.
I couldn't find eggs, and I had to buy the liquid ones. The one in the carton.
Oh yeah, those like egg beaters or whatever they're called. Those aren't too bad though.
Yeah, not too bad. That's what restaurants use them.
Yeah.
A lot of restaurants use them.
Yeah, it works really well.
And well, yesterday I stopped at the store at Fairway. They had eggs again, but now they got the limit. You can buy 2 dozens per person.
Oh man, it's so crazy to think that this is happening. That I mean, musicians are out of work. I mean, a lot of it's just hobby. A hobby for these musicians. Some of them, that's their only job, though.
Oh, right now it's crazy. I mean, well, I'm out of work for I don't know until when. All musicians, the ones that play gigging out, all the bar people, all the bartenders. I mean,
restaurants for the most part are closed.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them do delivery type things.
Drive-throughs, but most of it is closed.
Yeah, but they're not gonna have a full staff of all the cooks and all the waitresses and everybody there now.
Yeah. A lot of people are laid off until nobody knows until when.
Yeah, I mean, end of the month for now.
Yeah, for now, people think. I mean, some people panicking too.
Yeah, it is pretty wild to see people actually panic because.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you probably saw a little bit of that in Russia. People doing something kind of.
Well, it was one time. I mean, in Russia when right when Perestroika happened, when they had this. Tanks on the Red Square,
yeah. I might be a little too young to remember actually seeing that, but I remember hearing about it.
That was crazy over there. Actually, I mean, it was kind of you didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it's like here now. You don't really know what tomorrow.
But back then, I mean, back in Russia, I mean, we had these empty shelves. There was nothing in stores, but we were used to it because it was always like that.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, you go to a store and it was nothing but this. I remember it was piles of what do you call it, the seaweed in tin cans.
Yeah.
Seaweed and the mineral water and nothing else.
Holy cow!
Yeah, you go to the store to buy, and you knew that it was like that for months. There's nothing. Yeah, you had to get everything here and there.
Whoa, that's super crazy. I mean, that's probably the craziest thing I could.
And we were used to it.
Those cultural differences blow my mind. Because I mean, like, I've only grown up here. I've only seen stuff here. I mean, I've been abroad. I've been to other countries. I've seen what other countries are like. I've even been to Russia before once.
Oh yeah.
But I was in St. Petersburg. But a tourist in St. Petersburg is a little bit different than 2006.
Oh, you went when you missed out on when you went, everything was expensive.
Really?
When you went.
Yeah. Is it a lot cheaper now?
Well, you missed out like when I was there, like in late 80s,
Mm-hmm.
like right probably around late 80s, like early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
That was if you were like American, you go there with American $50, you could live like a king for a month.
No way.
Back then.
I do have to say, when I did go there, I brought Marlboro cigarettes with me.
Oh yeah, you can.
And I traded them to people for things. So like one of the things was you have to stay in a certain area if you're a tourist coming abroad. You couldn't like venture too far away, so like
Right.
you had to get a different visa if you wanted to leave the city that you were going to visit, stuff like that. But what I would do is it's like I want to see what this city looks like, but not like where all the tourists are at. So I would just go up to a taxi cab driver and just be like, do you want some cigarettes?
Well, that's what I used to do. I used to make money in the black market.
Yeah.
I used to go to foreigners, and take them, like we get a cab when my buddy was driving, and we take them to show them wherever nobody takes them, show them the prison or whatever, all the...
That's cool. I remember the guy took us to this hilltop, and he was like, you can see almost all of St. Petersburg from, where all the tourists are at from here, but you're so isolated from them. I said, well, there's like a road that goes straight down there that's kind of like a walking path. Can I just walk down that to get back there? He's like, yeah, but it's going to take you a while because it's deceptively far. But it was kind of cool because, I traded cigarettes to a guy to have him just take me somewhere neat, and I never really even... When I was that age, I didn't think too much about it, but now that I'm a little bit older, it's like, man, this guy was willing to drive me to like the edge of the city almost just for a pack of cigarettes,
Well, back then those cigarettes were expensive.
Yeah.
In Russia.
I remember going one place and seeing that American cigarettes, I think it was Finland. There were a lot of taxes, but it was like...
Well, in Finland it was even crazy. Well, what happened right before everything started going up in price, I remember at one point somebody, because all the stores in Russia, they had these Marlboros.
That's all I had.
Everywhere, like Marlboros. They were like expensive compared to Russian cigarettes. I think if I translate, I forgot what year exactly it was, but it was crazy. The exchange rate was, let's say my friend worked at the factory. And if I translate, he was making $5 a month.
Holy
$5 American dollars a month.
That's like 80s, 90s? Oh my God.
And the pack of Marlboro cost 25 cents. So if you make $5 a month, it's expensive.
Yeah.
And what we did was a lot of people started doing it. So we would chip in with my buddies, and we buy like a whole case of Marlboro cigarettes.
Oh, wow.
And we buy a trip to Finland. So we go to St. Petersburg, and then let's say 40 people on the bus, and everybody bribed the bus driver, and he unscrewed the ventilation system, and we hide all the cigarettes and vodka.
That's so crazy.
And take it across the border and then sell it to Finnish people.
Yeah, because
everything... We bought it for a quarter, and in Finland we were selling for $5.
Yeah.
Because over there it was like 10 at that time.
Yeah, I was going to say, because when I went there in like 2006, it was like $18 for a pack of cigarettes.
So some people were making back then like $1,000 on one trip, smuggling stuff.
I remember being in it might have been Norway or Finland. It was one of those two countries I was in. But a guy gave me €1 for a cigarette. And at the time, that was like $2 for a cigarette. And I was just blown away. I couldn't believe somebody would give me like $2 for a cigarette, But to them, it was $17 a pack, or comes out to be pretty close.
Back in, I forgot what year it was, like 90, I think, or whatever, I paid rent. I rented this place, 3-bedroom. I paid $70 a year. And it was crazy expensive. People were like, everybody was asking me, are you nuts? You paying that much for the place?
How can you afford this?
Well, imagine you make $5 a month, so...
Yeah. I mean, $5 a month times 12 months, we're talking $60. That wouldn't even cover. You'd have to be doing something on the side, playing music, doing something, literally anything to try and make a couple extra
But
bucks.
I was in the black market, so, selling stuff.
That's wild. And that's another thing. Like over here, there's almost no demand for that because you can just go get a job at a gas station and live and be pretty much okay. I mean, you're not high off the hog by any means, but it's you can make enough money to do the things you kind of want to do. You're not really, like I said, you might have to drive a used car and live in a lesser awesome place. And what's up? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Hold on just a second. We're gonna pause it here for just a second. Oh, right. Okay, we're back. Had to take a short break, but I mean, It's wild to think that there's that many cultural differences. It's wild to think that somebody from like the middle of Russia ends up in like the middle of America
Right.
in Iowa, in the middle of nowhere, you
Right.
know. And I mean, it's just blows my mind. I think it's really cool to be able to have somebody like you around to, you know, at least kind of
Well,
relay
appreciate
something.
having me.
You know, oh yeah, I mean, it's cool to that even just going to jam nights and seeing you around and just being like, I mean, you didn't let any cultural barriers stop you from doing any of this. You didn't let anything stop you from doing any of the things you wanted to do. You're over here, you're playing guitar and you're still practicing and getting better. That's like the thing that blows my mind.
Yes,
I mean,
you always learn.
yeah, that's true. It's cool because I mean, like I'm your Facebook friend, so I get to see you play videos sometimes, and you get to see you actually get better through the videos. And like I said, you're already good to begin with, so it's cool to see you get.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird when somebody tells you you're good. We talk about that on some podcasts. Like getting a compliment's kind of weird sometimes, but dude, I mean. Is there anything that you would like to pass on, like any information to any like new musicians or people that are around the area, anything like that? You know, any sort of comments to, you know, not give up, or you should have seen what it was like in, you know, my country and like, you know, like
Well, like I said, over here, people take everything for granted. I mean, it's like you got everything you need over here.
yeah,
And people say, "Oh, if I had this, if I had that." I mean, you got everything you need if you wanna.
that's true.
Like my first band when the Europe broke up, and when I got my own band, my first one, the Miller's Hut.
Yeah.
And we actually, there was a festival coming up, and we decided to practice. We didn't have electric guitars. All I had is acoustic guitars, and the drummer didn't have drums. So we were practicing at my apartment. He put up a chair. He had a pedal. The drummer had a pedal. We had acoustic guitars, yeah, and he put it against the chair, and we practiced on acoustic guitars. And when the gig came up, we borrowed real instruments from somebody.
Oh wow!
I never saw a real electric guitar until
the show.
Yeah, until the show.
Oh my god!
That's how we played because we wanted so bad.
That's
to
awesome.
Play. So,
dude, that is so cool.
Yeah, it took me like 3-4 gigs before I was able to buy me a real guitar, a real electric guitar.
That's wild. That's dedication. That's passion. You really wanted this.
You gotta visualize your dreams or whatever, because I kind of visualized what I wanted to be, and I was kind of like the Europe band that I broke up. Actually, I felt kind of it broke up, but the reason I left the band, well, I wouldn't be able to be in the band because it was different musical, ideas and everything.
Yep.
But one of the reasons, because I went to the jazz college, and the guys in the band, they decided to go work, to make money, to buy equipment.
Yep.
And I couldn't because I just got in a jazz college,
so
and
you're going to school,
and my parents would kill me if I. So I had to be there. So basically they kicked me out, and I kind of felt like I was Dave Mustaine.
Oh yeah,
That's how I felt, and I was so pissed that they kicked me out. And festival was in 2 weeks. So I made this band, and in 2 weeks I got it, and we got much bigger than they were.
Oh, that's super cool.
In a way, I felt like a Dave Mustaine.
Yeah, for people that don't know the Dave Mustaine analogy, he was in Metallica, and they booted him out, but he was one of the reasons they recorded their first album. He wrote a lot of that stuff. You can actually open up the credits and see his name in there a lot. So he got booted out, ended up starting his own band, Megadeth.
2 weeks later, he started Megadeth.
Yep.
And,
I mean, the two of the best thrash metal bands in the world that have ever happened. It's kind of wild. That's I love that you have such a desire. You don't want to say no. You can just keep going and keep going forward. And I love that about you. It's
exactly. That's all you gotta do.
I tell you what, maybe it's just a cultural difference, but like over here, you see people just kind of. I tried this twice and I'm not good at it now. I don't care, and I'm not going to play the guitar anymore or whatever.
Just like I see, like a lot of times I see videos of these great guitar players on Facebook or whatever, and a lot of people in comments say, "That's it, I quit." This gets me more excited. I want to play because when I hear somebody going like, there's a lot of guys. When I hear Fountainhead or when I hear there's so many guys I'm like, damn. I mean, he can play that and I can't. I mean,
Yeah, it
so-
inspires you to want
yeah,
to try it,
right?
You know, instead of just being like, "I'll never be that good."
Right.
That comes right back to what we were talking about. Where if you don't think you'll ever be that good, you probably won't because
Right, exactly.
because your brain
It's
is already
so-
telling you no.
Exactly, it's mental.
Oh man, that's
When you see them Chinese prodigies, them 8-year-old girls, they shred like.
yeah.
I mean,
I was gonna say my dad actually sent me a video of that, and it was like the best guitar players in Asia, and it was just young women from all over
you
Asia.
got these girls. I mean,
shredding.
this little girl Yo-Yo, whatever her name is. I think she was like 7 when she started, and well, she probably started when she was 3.
Yeah.
But I just can't. I mean, how they do it? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I understand everything, the fast part, but someone even got good vibrato.
Yeah.
And that's hard on fingers. I mean, and them little, like 7-year-olds.
Oh, those little tiny fingers
Yeah.
playing vibrato.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that's got to be a lot. Oh god, that's super crazy. Well, dude, I mean, we've got just over an hour recorded. I think this episode is going to be awesome. I get something out of every episode, and I
I
think
hope so.
I think what I got out of this one was you just can't give up, and you got to have a positive mental attitude.
exactly.
You know, you've overcome so much just to come here and play music and work and do what you're doing and just keep going, and you keep going, and it blows my mind. I mean, maybe it's just me being from here, but I just have to think, if I grew up in communist Russia, I would probably just be like, well, I guess I'm never doing anything cool, you know, just go stand in line for food or whatever, you know,
Right.
like, you know, work for the man and get paid $5 a month, you know, or whatever.
Right.
You know, that just seems so disheartening. It's crazy that you just didn't give up and that you traveled around the country in Russia.
Well, actually,
in
it's
a
funny.
band.
Before, how I started playing guitar, I forgot to tell that. When I was a little kid, my friend, he was playing accordion.
Oh, cool.
You know? And he played couple scales for me, and I go, oh, I want to play accordion. So I bugged my parents, you know, so they got me an accordion. I started playing, and my school teacher, music teacher, he was a complete, you know, ass. He would like, I would come, play scales, whatever. If I mess up, he would hit me with a ruler on my fingers.
Oh, gosh,
So he
yeah.
beat out I started go to the lesson. Instead of lesson, I drop off accordion at my friend's house. We go play soccer instead or whatnot.
Oh, okay.
Or play hockey.
Mm-hmm.
So I completely didn't want to touch guitar. Didn't want to do any music.
Yep.
And then guitar came out. I was like 12, I think, or 13, and I started playing the guitar. There was this guy in my street.
Mm-hmm.
He was, all the girls listened to him, you know.
Yeah,
He
yep.
would play guitar. He knew all the chords. So I came up to him. I go, can you teach me the guitar? He said, yeah, come on over. So I came over, and he told me, you tone deaf. You never be able to play. So I'm
Oh,
like,
no way.
so, and then he got drafted in the military for
Oh,
2
wow.
years. When he got back, I already had my band and everything.
Mm-hmm.
He came up to me, asked me for lessons.
Oh,
And
no
I
way.
told him, no, I'm tone deaf. I can't.
Right back at you, buddy.
Yeah, but-
That's
yeah,
crazy.
Well, if he didn't tell me that, I don't know. I just got so mad when he told me that, and I started practicing and practicing. And
Yeah, man, you're gonna prove him wrong, and you
Right.
surely did. I mean,
So,
like I said, it's your skills are nothing to sneeze at. You've got really great guitar skills, and it's really crazy.
well, thank you.
I'm excited to hear you maybe hopefully get an album or get some songs recorded, because like you said, you've got some ideas. So I'm hoping to hear it. You know, put pencil to paper.
Well,
or
yeah,
I
I'm
guess
kind of throwing hooks right now. You know, asking people here and there. You know,
Mm-hmm.
who's gonna play drums or whatnot. You know, because I mean, I can play most of the instruments myself, but I want to get like I talked to Kramer. You know, Kramer, the bass player,
Oh gosh.
Justin Kramer. He plays in a lot
yes,
of yeah.
actually, yeah.
Yeah, I talked to him about playing bass. You know, a couple other people, and so
Yeah.
and I found a couple good singers. There's one girl that sings real good here in town, and there's a couple singers because I
Yeah.
want somebody to sing real. You know.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. Like, I think if I ever started my own band, I would definitely not be singing. I would want somebody else doing all that for
Right.
me, you know? Well, dude, Igor, super thanks for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you, Peter.
Dude, I love this. I love sitting down talking with you and talking about the differences and the similarities in our personalities, our cultures, our backgrounds, everything. I feel like this episode's got a lot that people can learn from. Just don't give up. You got to work hard, and you got to have a positive mental attitude. And you got to keep going, man. Because even if somebody says you're tone deaf, it doesn't mean you are. You just got to keep going, and you might be better than that person that said you were tone deaf before too long.
Exactly.
So. Hey, man, Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Oh, man, what a cool guy. The stories he tells are absolutely insane. And you know what? He was telling that story about being at a show and having the guy in the coffin and everybody carry him out, and there were stray cats and everything. He's got video. There's video of that. There's actual video of that. And I'll be sharing it later. I'll be sharing it later in the week on the Audible Farm Facebook group. So make sure you join that group. Check it out. It's wild. I know Igor has shared the video before from his Facebook page. But, it's going to be crazy. He's shared a couple videos with me of things that he's done, some songs he's recorded, different shows he's played, and things like that. The stories he tells are insane. It's almost... It's so wild. The cultural differences while he was telling some of it was just mind-blowing. Like, I couldn't imagine trying to strip down some wiring to use as an E string on my guitar. It's just mind-blowing to me. And he was doing that. That was just what they did, and making their own guitar pedals from scratch and throwing them in like tin cans and things like that. It's just wild. The whole thing is crazy to me, and it's super cool. So it just goes to show you that, like, through these constraints comes a lot of innovation, and there's no real limits as far as, like, you need the best things to do the best stuff and play the best you can. Like, there's people playing amazing things with pretty much repurposed junk and making it sound absolutely amazing. So super hats off to Igor. I didn't realize that, I've jammed with him a few times. I didn't realize his road to get here was as crazy as it was. And you know what? I don't even know if we scratched the surface on all this. Really, there's probably a lot more that could come down from sitting with Igor and talking some more. So it's crazy. Got to give a huge shout out to him for joining me on the podcast. I really appreciate it. Taking some time out of his day. We're getting, it was such a good time. I can't believe it. Some of the stories, I just got done re-listening to this episode, and that's why I'm just like, wow, man. So I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did, because I was all smiles and just like, whoa, the whole time. And hey, hit up Igor if you guys want to jam. He's really good. He can play metal stuff. He can play classical-ish stuff. I mean, his abilities are pretty wide. So, if you want to jam with him, hit him up. He likes to jam. He likes to play. He's always playing videos. In his free time, he's just jamming around in his house. So hit him up. I'm sure I've tagged him on Facebook, if nothing else. So go over to Facebook and check it out. Find him and send him a friend request and let him know you heard him on the Audible Farm podcast and you think it'd be awesome to jam with him sometime. It's cool, man. I appreciate it, Igor. And hey, thank you guys for listening to this episode too. It's fun to be able to sit down with new people and get to know them. And there's tons of crazy cool people out there in the music community and the entertainment community around Iowa and everywhere. And like I said, I'm barely scratching the surface talking to some of these people. So hey, if you want to talk to Igor, find him at a show sometime. Say hi to him. Invite him out to your show if you're coming to Northern Iowa to play, and he'll come out and say hi. It's crazy. We got this awesome community full of people, and everybody's really supportive, and I'm having a great time getting to know everybody. So hats off to everybody listening. Hats off to Igor. And hey, shout out to Couchtown Coffee one more time. Enter that code word MAD, because Igor also was known as Mad Miller. So check it out. Couchtowncoffee.com. Enter the code word MAD. Let them know Audible Farm sent you, and you can save yourself 20%. It's that easy. Coffee roasted for you right here in Iowa. Boom. Shipped to your house. Couldn't be any better. All right, everybody. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode. I will check you guys all next week. Peace.